Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performers Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have a special guest, Jessica Yarbrough. She is the CEO Babe, and that is her name of her company. I just want to get that out first. Great name, by the way.
Thank you.
She's a business coach, business consultant, and she helps service-based entrepreneurs increase their business. So, Jessica, I don't know too much more about your background, but what's interesting is we connected on social media, and it was an interesting post that you had out there. It said, "What's up with all these podcast hosts out there? They send out these phishing notices and say, hey, would you like to come on the show? And oh, by the way, you need to buy 25 t-shirts, or you need to purchase my program, or there's a small promotional fee."
Absolutely.
That's not the way we work here. So please come on and I want to hear your story. So fill us in a little bit before CEO Babe was born. What were you doing?
So my background was in marketing. I'd managed several companies. And I had actually built a startup company that was my dream company here in San Diego, but I wasn't fulfilled. I was heading for burnout. Basically, I had just grown up too fast, if you will. You know, I started working at a very young age and taking on big responsibilities at a young ave. And I needed to take this soul journey and really go on this personal development and spiritual journey. And so I left my company. I gave up my shares, walked away from everything, sold everything I owned, and took a 13-pound backpack and bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. And I spent 4 years, diving deep into my spiritual practices. I became a yoga teacher, just completely opposite of Jessica, businesswoman, startup world. Right? Well, fast forward, I ended up getting pregnant. Her father is not present. I had to come to God moment. Like, what am I doing with my life? And my options were, obviously, I couldn't just keep teaching yoga. That's not the lifestyle I wanted for my child and what she deserves. Get a job, which wasn't an option. I mean, I'm unemployable.
So am I, by the way. 20 years as an entrepreneur, it's like, I don't know who would want to hire.
It's not going to work. Not going to work. Or go back to what I'm really gifted at, which is marketing and consulting and building businesses. So I started building my company from ground zero, from having literally nothing, no contacts, charging nothing, to building a multi-six-figure business in just a few short years.
Well, it's so interesting because people see you and see us after all the hard work, after all the years, all the things that don't work. And like, oh yeah, that's easy for you to say, look where you are. But everyone has to understand is that you start with zero. I remember the first 6 months of this business, the team was sitting around and we were going through the P&L, and we had made $1,500 in the first year.
Woohoo!
They were all, yes.
You made a profit?
No. We did not make a profit. We had $1,500 on the top line, but with everything else, I mean, it was a huge loss. And
Okay. I thought you meant that was it. I was like,
no. That was the revenue.
Oh no!
Yeah, no, that wasn't profit. No. And it's kind of funny because I'm a profitability consultant. So first year was not first 6 months, and it was planned that way. Obviously, we had to get the system going.
Sure.
It takes a while to get some traction.
Yes.
And during that process, you find out what you're doing that works and some of the things that don't work, and you got to make the adjustments. So the team is like, is this going to work? I'm like, don't worry. This is my sixth company. I've been doing this for 18 years. No worries. This will work. And I remember that night going, wow, this is really taking a long time to get some traction. So it was interesting. And come to find out, our strategy and our ideal client that we thought was our ideal client wasn't. So I'm curious. So I'm curious with you is not some of the mistakes you made in the beginning, but what's some of the adjustments you had to make along the way, and how did you evolve?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think the number one thing you're trying to figure out is clarity, and we lack focus, and we're reaching, right? We're trying to do so many things and trying to find our voice in this space, and we're being sold a million different things by internet marketers. We're saying, you need this perfect webinar, and you need to build this complex funnel, and you need to do this. And really what we need to do is get clear and have conversations, right? And start getting some results with our clients. One of the things that I started to do that was a mistake was I tried to scale too fast. So I was gung-ho. Once I started making money, I was like, let's throw everything at it and let's scale it. And it flopped. And it cost me big time. I pulled back, got really clear on who I'm doing, what the message is. As you know, as I shared kind of in some of my posts you've been reading, I don't believe in spamming. I don't believe in this pitching and over direct messenger. I'm all about value and building relationships. And I can see the difference in my business because like just this week, I'm close to a 6-figure week. Like that's pretty incredible. You talk about 5 years ago, I had nothing. I was a single mother on food stamps. Literally, I had to do that. I had to go through that hardest time of my life, raising a newborn, having her on my lap, breastfeeding while my computer's on my knees, and then to today where I'm able to make more in a single week than I made in an entire year, right? So it does take time, and it does take clarity, and not being so focused on the money. I got to get that next client. I got to make that sale. That's what everybody says. Jessica, I just need a client. I just need money. I'm running out of money. Yes. Take a deep breath. It's going to come. We're going to build some things first, create credibility, build some reciprocity so that people are lining up and will start to pay you a ridiculous amount of money for your time and expertise. But most people are too scattered and too hard on the pitching constantly that nobody's even reading their stuff or paying attention to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No one wants to be sold. People want to buy, but no one wants to be sold.
That's right. People love to buy, but they don't want to be sold. And if all you're doing is pitching constantly, nobody's going to be paying attention to your post. Nobody's going to watch your videos. Nobody's going to want to get on the phone with you because they already see that. So, I think just taking a step back and understanding that this road of entrepreneurship, it's like, it's a marathon and not a sprint, first of all. And you got to play it for the long run. So don't just be in like, how much money can I make right now? Right? Stop seeing your clients like that as wallets and start seeing them as human beings that you can really change their lives and that you want to build a relationship with. And when you start to just give and build that reciprocity, like everything will come to you. But you got to be willing to say, I'm in this for the long run, not just hustling to make a quick buck. It's two completely different energies. And unfortunately, so much of what's out there is promoting that hustle and make a quick buck. Get rich quick scheme.
Don't forget about the plane and the Lamborghini.
The plane and the Lamborghini, or the $5,000 Chanel bag, or the branded photos, or photos at the Ritz-Carlton and all that. It's like, yeah, sure, maybe you did $300,000. I guarantee you, in revenue, you didn't make that in profit because you've spent that all. Staying at the Ritz-Carlton, which is fine. Luxury is great, but it has a time and a place, right? Build relationships. It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing when you treat people, and when people treat you like human beings. And not like a wallet, and where somebody's not telling you what you need right away and sending you to their just-in-time webinar, on the first message and all
that's
of that.
That's going to expire because,
yes,
I can't keep the webinar up forever.
Or hooking them and saying, hey, would you like more? I want to have you on my show. Would you like more leads and clients? And then saying, oh, wait a minute, it's a paid gig or whatever. Just people are so tired of it. Our news feeds have become just spam, right? Not only do we have the paid sponsorship, but people are obviously using their profiles to pitch constantly. What happened to value? What happened to relationships? This is how companies are built. This is how grassroots movements start. You think about Steve Jobs in his garage, right? Everybody starts in the grassroots movement, and everybody wants to have that lifestyle business so quickly that they forget that there's a journey that you have to go on, and that you're going to need people to support you, not only mentors and coaches and all that along the way, but you're going to need fans. And you're not going to have fans if you're just selling a lifestyle, cussing at people, whatever it may be. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that goes on, or, bashing other people all the time. And there's just all kinds of nonsense out there.
It's funny. I just got off a call probably about 2 hours ago where a friend of mine is looking for some help. It's a nonprofit, and she's looking for some help. She's got two businesses. She's got a nonprofit, and she's got a coaching business where she does dating for men.
Awesome.
And she needs some help on the nonprofit. And she goes, I really need somebody that can help me kind of with the funnel work. And I really can't pay. I'm looking for some volunteers. She goes, how am I going to get them? I said, well, what do you have of value to give them? And she goes, I don't know. I was like, you've got a coaching business.
Right.
Find men that might need coaching that can help you with the funnel.
Right.
Like, I never really thought about that. I was like, provide value first.
Right.
And then if that value is high enough, people will jump through, hoops left and right if they're getting massive value from you.
And I actually have a connection. We'll talk about this after the interview that could help her. I know some people that do that work for free for nonprofits. So there you go.
There you go. All right, Bridget, it's coming. See?
Yep.
It's been a great day.
It happens.
Tell me a little bit about the mistakes that you made in the scaling up.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I wanted to outsource stuff right away. I was like, I just need to outsource all these things. So, my background, I have extensive background in marketing and in building out things, and I wanted to offload that. So I started spending money on having people, $3,000, $5,000 a month retainers for them to build out my funnels or to run traffic, or whatever it may be, just trying to offload that when it wasn't time. And I actually took back all of that. I do my own funnels. I could have someone do them, but for me, it's easy now. And I don't need this complexity in my business. And I got simple. I got back to the basics, and that's how I was able to gain traction.
Got it. You have a offering on your website, which is 44 ways to sell.
Yes.
Tell us a few. 44
ways to sell your services every day. That's right.
All right.
Okay. So lead with value, teach, actually get up there and teach. I have my whiteboard here. I teach all the time. Change the relationship between, hey, Thor's cool and he has a cool life, to that's my teacher. You got to teach something. That's how you build massive credibility, right? In the marketplace, you got to change that subconscious relationship, and you also teach them something and transfer value. So when you get them on a sales call, they already consider you their teacher. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's another one. Another way that you can sell without selling is interview your clients on a live stream. Get them on there, Facebook Live, add a guest right then and there, and then download that and put it on LinkedIn if you want, and talk about the results. What was it like working, with you? Where were they at before? Interview them right there. Another thing you can do is have them record a little video for you at the end of your call and stick that up there, because that's not you just saying how awesome you are. That's your clients. So there's tons of ways that you can sell your services without just spamming people.
Love it. And if you go to ceobabe.com, you can download that free report as well, or not report, but that white paper. Let's talk specifics, because I'm interested to hear this, because the landscape is always changing. And what was a successful model a few years ago may not be working anymore. So on the teaching piece, when you're doing, and I see a lot of this on Facebook, when you're doing on the whiteboard, are you doing that on Facebook Live? Are you doing that recording it first and then uploading it and then using that video in other platforms? What's today's best practice in your mind? Well,
mostly what I'm doing is Facebook Live. You get instant eyeballs on it. And then my team will I try to promote it on LinkedIn and send them there before it happens, do a post. And then ultimately I'm going to download it. If it's under 10 minutes, I'll put it direct on LinkedIn. Otherwise, I'll have to edit it, because I don't want to put it on YouTube and then link it to LinkedIn, because it kills the algorithm, right?
Say that one more time.
So if you're going to do a video on LinkedIn, it's a little bit different. So it's a little bit more work, right? You don't want to just try to throw a 20-minute video up there. They won't accept it. You'll have to host it on YouTube, and it's going to kill your reach. Okay. You can host them directly on LinkedIn if it's under 10 minutes.
Got it.
But if you're going to put a video on LinkedIn, you should put a nice title bar. You should put your subtitle bar with your opt-in or whatever. It's great if you can do captions. All of these little tactics help the viewers see it more, because you got to understand, so many people on LinkedIn are working a job, so they might not be able to crank up the volume in their cubicle.
Right. So
with LinkedIn, if you're going to really leverage the videos, you need to edit them in iMovie and do a few things with them, or use Vimly or InShot or something like that, one of those apps, to make it look nice. But ultimately, you got to cut it to under 10 minutes.
Got it.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you could actually download the Facebook Live and then use that video somewhere else.
Yeah. So if you click on the actual video, and you know how it the live stream, it comes big, you're able to then download it. But then again, if it's If it's longer than 10 minutes, you need to, and either way, you want to, if you're going to put it on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's a different energy. It's more professional.
Yeah.
And you want your nice header, you want your footer. If you can do captions, you got to do rev.com. I mean, it's a process. This is not something really you want to do. It's what you want to have your team do. But putting those on there and then also putting them on YouTube. Another thing I do is I'll put it on YouTube and then I put it on a blog and I send it to my list. But this is this is a level of complexity I don't want people to get too caught up in. Just make sure you're putting out content every day. And then
that last piece was for me. That's the best part about doing these interviews. And then going through here, I'm actually making notes, and I'm like, interesting. I got to get the on that
and
one.
then and as you get you got your team, you got your flow. Now you can start to distribute that more. You're making money. You've got margin. Now you can start to really become omnipresent, right? So, but right now, just get live on your Facebook.
Yeah, it seems from your website that you do a lot of work with coaches. Is that correct?
Yes, a lot of entrepreneurs. So coaches, consultants, branding professionals. I have consultants and sales strategists who work with 7-figure businesses. I have kind of accounting professionals that work with 7-figure businesses to 8 figures. So a lot of high-level consultants, and then also anything from dating coaches, relationship, life coaches, healers.
Got it. So let me ask you this, because this is something that my lane's a little bit different. I work with larger organizations, but it's funny because Bridget, the nonprofit, she called me. She said, "I need your help." I was like, "I don't work with startups." So we tease each other every time we get on the phone. And so often, even with the clients that I'm working with, people undervalue their service. They undervalue how much they're worth in the marketplace. I've got a law firm that they're doing it. They should be spending, charging $1,500 in some cases, and they're charging $1,200. So it doesn't matter where it starts. But to get a business going, it's a lot easier getting clients, at least in the early days, if your pricing is lower versus higher. Where do you suggest for your clients when they're just starting out? And then how quickly do they ramp up so they can get their pricing where it needs to be?
Well, people got to cover their bills. So if they need to go make their quick cash, do what you got to do. Right in the beginning, I think most people are grossly undercharging. It's kind of like I said to one of my clients who had a $10,000 program. It was that's what he was charging. It was for 90 days working with 7-figure businesses, training their sales team. I said, they're not going to take you seriously. Yeah, that's $10,000 for the day. Do you understand? Not a 90-day program. So for a lot of people, it's a positioning issue. Okay, they're not positioning their product and their program correctly with their market to be able to command those higher prices. The other part is it's a confidence issue. So how often do we downplay all of our other experience? Like, oh yeah, I was in the corporate and I worked with multi-million-dollar accounts, hundreds of millions, even billion-dollar accounts, and then when it comes to my own business, I'm gonna not charge a lot. I'm just gonna play small. Right, so there's that disconnect that constantly we have to work on. That's a mindset and confidence issue. So we've got positioning, we've got mindset/confidence, and then the third one is a messaging issue. Like we've got to get your message in front of the right people. So if you're your background is working with 7 figures, and now you are struggling to sell a $5,000 program to someone who's making $100,000 a year, you're in the wrong market. Maybe you'll make that $5,000, but they're paying you peanuts, and your knowledge, your genius is with the 7-figure companies. So you need to position your product. You need to have the message, your positioning, and the confidence, which you'll feel when you got the right product, to meet those people where they're at. And that's going to be a $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 program.
What's the biggest mistakes that you see that consultants are making out there?
Undercharging for their services, trying to be a jack of all trades, master of none, right? So they're generalizing, they're not specializing, they're not playing to their core strengths, staying in their zone of genius. They're trying to start low and back build high. So meaning they're trying to launch a course and get passive income and all these things that require complexity and funnels and traffic and a following and a lot of work to monetize, instead of starting high on their value ladder with their high-end, high-impact offer, where they can get those wins through a conversation, and back building their value ladder if they even decide to do it. Because let's face it, if you're a high-level consultant, you're making $500,000 a year, Do you even care about trying to create and monetize a course?
No.
Probably not. You want to go like on vacation with your family. You want to finish the deck in the backyard. Whatever you want to do, you want to enjoy life. You got $500,000. How much? I mean, so it's about really understanding that you don't need to have all of these things. You can build them if you want them. You can have an office with 18 people working under you, or you can have 4 clients a year, 5 clients a year, make $500,000, live a good life, reclaim your time. It's up to you, but you don't need to have all of this, and you don't need to start at $7 to eventually get to $50,000 clients.
Yeah, no question. I mean, we don't do anything downstream, and it's interesting. Every year, what we look at as well, we have a system. The day that we sell out our top consulting package, we create the next one. So it was, what we found was we were getting to the point where some of the bigger clients weren't interested because our top program was $15,000 a month. I was like, well, no. So now it's $25,000 a month.
There you go, $25K.
Right, and when we start selling that, it'll be 35, 45.
Right. Yeah, level up. I like it.
Keep going up. So, what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Where's it going?
Where's it going? It's going really, really well.
No, where? Not like how's it? Where are you headed? What's next? What's 2.0, 3.0, 2020?
2020. Well, I'm running my mastermind, so I've got 2 live events coming up this year in Phoenix in May and October. I plan to do turn that into 4 events next year, and that's actually for my high-level clients that come to those. I plan to do actual live events that are open to the public in 2020. I'd like to hold a retreat as well and speak on stage. I mean, I'm ready for that. I've held off on a little bit of that just because I'm a single mother and my daughter's 4, and she was quite young, so I wanted to really build everything that I could do from home. And now she's getting a little older, and I'm ready to take it on the road.
You could bring her with you.
I do. I drag her everywhere.
On stage.
I do. I drag her everywhere. I joke around and say my daughter is the most well-traveled 4-year-old I've ever met.
Yeah.
So we'll be in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands in a couple weeks.
Yeah. When my kids were small, especially my son, if I was trying to close a different business, but years ago, trying to close a deal, and it was almost there, but it just wasn't there. I do a little recording with him, and it's like, "Dear Mr. Jones, my daddy really needs this deal. Would you call him back and sign up for, whatever it was?" And so they get a cute little thing from this, he was like 6 or 5 or 6 at the time. Yeah, I mean, come on, you got your employee right next to you. Get her on stage,
Yeah, she would love it. She's a ham.
She's going to be walking around with a collection plate, a little offering plate, or
she's
collecting emails, collecting business cards.
Yes, no, I am going to take her with me. In fact, I called the school today to be like, how does this work? Because when I want to take her out of it, because I know she's starting in August, and we travel about 8 weeks out of the year. So
yeah, well, at 4 they can miss some time. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine. Yes.
Besides not valuing their time and really being off message, what is one thing that I see in all my clients is that there's some common threads that run through clients. Doesn't matter what size organization they have, but you can almost start to sense, what these common threads are. What's some of the common threads that you see running through your clients that are supporting their success, and the ones that may not be supporting their success? I know you touched on the not charging enough, but is there some common themes that you see over and over again?
That support and both don't support.
Explain that.
Okay, so not supporting them, we'll start with that. And then I'll finish it with the positive. They need to raise their prices, lack of confidence and self-sabotage, maybe undercutting when it comes time, their prices, or wheeling and dealing when it comes to that. And then I would say just not taking action and putting themselves out there, or having those difficult conversations. Okay, those would be kind of the things that might hold them back. The things they're doing really well that's supporting them is being open-minded, being willing to try something new when they come and work with me. Stop following 90% of what's out there. Just stop absorbing that information. Stop trying to build and launch another thing. Stop trying to go after the little bits of money, and focus on really what you want to be doing. Okay. That's another thing that supports them. Just being all in. That's another thing. I mean, you've got to have commitment. You've got to have resilience. This is an industry that can beat you up. It is the biggest personal development journey you're going to go on. There's going to be highs and lows, and just holding the vision and trusting the process and knowing that you're going to come out the other side, maybe a little bruised, but hopefully a lot richer.
You know, it's funny. Just the other day, I posted something on Facebook, and it said, "Stop thinking." And it was meant as, you know, this system where everyone's like, I don't know enough. I've got to learn something else. I've got to learn something else. They're on this constant journey trying to figure out what's missing, and then listening to gurus and trying to emulate them. So, you know, the more the more you think, the less you do. The less you do, the more you doubt. The more you doubt, the less you do.
Absolutely. It was Robert De Niro who said, we are literally a society that is dying from overthinking.
Yeah.
We're just thinking and thinking and thinking, and we talk ourselves out of it, because the more you think, the more doubt there is.
Yeah.
Right?
And the learning is just a click away. You know, I'm of the age when we had to learn, we had to go to the library.
Yes. And you can learn, but just make sure that you are producing more than you're consuming. That's another thing, especially in the early stages. Right? You've got to be putting writing your content every day, putting your message out there instead of just watching everybody else's webinar.
Yeah. You don't learn how to be a great tennis player by reading books.
That's true.
Hit the ball.
That's right.
It's the same thing in business. If you had to do it all over again, you know, we've got the ability to look back, and hindsight's 2020. What are some of the tweaks that you would have done a little bit differently, other than trying to scale too quickly?
I would have started with higher prices right from the beginning. You know, even in my coaching, which I thought was high at the time, is not. So my positioning, definitely, and my pricing would have been different. Just taking a deep breath and knowing that, you know, it's all going to work out, and trusting the process more would have been helpful. And that's probably about it. I mean, I already kind of mentioned that the outsourcing too soon and hiring a bunch of people who, you know, promised all kinds of things, and they're fine. It just wasn't the timing. So it's, you know, and they were happy to take my money, even though they probably knew it wasn't the time.
What's the best business advice you've ever been given?
The best?
Yes.
I think, honestly, lead with value. It's just not happening in our industry. People are not giving value. People are not actually giving value without asking anything in return.
Yeah.
They always got to want something from you. I got to get your email. I told a client of mine today, a new client, I said, don't worry about the email. The email will come. I've had 600 people, whatever, sign up for my email list, like in the past 60 days. That's no ads. They're just coming on. They're just like, how can I get on your email list? It's funny, because I'm just leading with value, and I'm giving, you know, just tremendous value in my live streams, and say, hey, if you want this cheat sheet, or if you want this video, like, then they opt in. They're self-selecting, but I'm giving that ungated content to them. So just leading and giving without asking anything in return, so you can develop that massive reciprocity, so that you can create that tribe of raving fans who know, like, love, adore you, and refer people like crazy to you.
Yeah, and the referrals are so big. You know, in my business, 90% of my business is all referral. Because it's a client that picks up the phone and says, hey, I'm working with this individual. And the sales calls, they're not even sales calls.
They're not even sales calls.
Yeah, they go something like along the line. Yeah, it's, hi, so-and-so said I had to use you. I really respect them. What do you do, and how much does it cost?
Exactly. That's the whole dynamic. It's not you cold pitching and trying to get on the phone and trying to talk and convince them into anything. It's them self-selecting and saying, hey, you're awesome. Yeah. I heard so-and-so said I should talk to you, or I need to follow you, or I watched your content. How can I work with you? Changes the dynamic in the relationship, and you can sell without selling. There's no closing. It's just a conversation, transference of confidence and energy.
Yeah. Worst advice you've been given. At the time, you didn't know it was bad advice, but you later found out that really wasn't a good idea.
Oh, goodness. There's been so much. Now, let's see. Bad advice given.
And you implemented it.
Oh, and I implemented it.
Yeah, and you were like, oops, that wasn't a good idea.
I honestly, it was the automation piece. And I knew this in the back of my head that it was not time, but I went ahead and built out a webinar anyway. And that was painful and time consuming, and did the slides, you know, just did the whole thing. I had one person buy. One person buy. And what's hilarious is, of course it wasn't at the time, when I went to go launch another program, I just created an order form, like literally an order form, no sales funnel, nothing. And I sold $18,000 like in a couple days. No presentation, no 50, 60 out, like all of that. And I knew it, but it's like I had to go through it.
Right.
So I had this great teaching point for my students.
and look, that's where it starts. I was joking around just actually this morning with someone, and someone said, how did you get into profitability consulting? I said, that's easy. I purchased a company about 12 years ago, and I drove it into the ground. I couldn't figure out how to make a profit. And I said, after 14 years at that point, being an entrepreneur, having 5 successful exits, I was like, this wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
You kind of figure it all out, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the biggest joke. And I said, from those failures, from those lessons, I realized that there was a lot of other entrepreneurs that were going through the same thing.
Right.
And I would never know what to do had you not gone through it yourself. And
yes,
to me it was, Jim Rohn, I think, joked one time. He said, why do we have all these seminars with all these successful people? Bring in a bunch of people that really screwed up their lives, and let's hear what they have to say. And then just don't do it.
Right. No, it's brilliant. In fact, I just shared, I don't know if you caught my live stream today, I was sharing about my why and my daughter and about failure. And I said that the best thing I can do for my daughter is to let her fail. Because when you fail, right, it's hard, but you build that strength, you build that character, you build that resilience. And when you come out the other side, you can appreciate your journey, and you now have the ability to teach and inspire others. And if I were just to build that bridge for her all the time and never let her fail, she would never have that epiphany and that moment and that gift, that appreciation and that knowledge that she can share with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine, Sarah Blakely, many people know her name from Spanx, founder of Spanx. Every night her father would ask her, what did you fail at today?
I love that.
Every single day. What did you fail? That was part of a dinner conversation. What'd you fail at? And if they didn't fail, her and her siblings, they were told, do something tomorrow, try something. And if you keep succeeding, because failure gives you the ability to make the adjustments. I have found you learn very little by success. If you're out there, and right, because it's kind of, and sometimes you just succeed just because you happen to be in the
right place at the right time.
Exactly, right.
A little luck, like, how did this happen?
Right. I mean, even if you play basketball, if you throw enough balls up towards the hoop, one's going to go in. You didn't learn anything about how to get it into the hoop. But if you're constantly failing, you start to make those adjustments. So failure is a great teacher.
Yes, it is.
So tell us how we can get in touch with you and find out more about what you do.
You can find me at ceobabe.com. I'm on Facebook, CEO Babe. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Just Google me, Jessica Yarbrough, CEO Babe.
I love that URL. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being on the show today, and we look forward to having you back.
Thanks, Thor.
Thank you.